Okay. Good evening, everyone. I hope you are having a good day in whatever part of the world you are. We are here tonight. I'm Adriana Silva. I'm the Community Director for London and Southeast with IIBA UK. And we are here today to learn from Bindu about the topic, Bridging the Gap, how business analysts can fortify cybersecurity efforts. Bindu, she's a very dear colleague to me. She kindly inducted me into the IIBA UK chapter. Well, beyond that, she's an amazing professional. She's the founder of the Cybersecurity for Business Analysts, which is a platform that provides the necessary awareness and training for business analysts. She has also co-authored the cybersecurity certification, the CCA curriculum, for the International Institute of Business Analysis, IIBA, and she has shaped the exam questions for the CCA and the Certified Business Analysis Professional, the CBAP certification. So she has actively contributed to the development of the IIBA standards and the digital assets. She is also the author of the book, Cybersecurity and Business Analysis, published by BCS earlier in the year. In addition, she has shared about this topic at international conferences and online platforms. Along with her professional commitments and endeavors, Bindu also, she serves as the IIBA Regional Director for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And she has well, as I said, she has been the chapter director for many years, prior to after the beginning of this year. And in addition to all this, she is involved and she contributes to the profession. She also dedicates time to the Brahma Kumari's World Spiritual University, and she advocates for a spiritual lifestyle that fosters holistic human well-being on an international scale, which is something very beautiful to see. So, welcome, Bindu. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. And now it's over to you.
Thank you, Adriana. Lovely to be here. As you were introducing, I felt quite nostalgic that the roles have reversed here. It was always my pleasure to kind of welcome our guests. So it feels very much home being back with the UK chapter, and I'm really honored to be here. We are a very small group, which is nice and cozy. So maybe if you want to kind of switch on your cameras and join, because this is going to be an interactive session. It's not going to be just me talking. So while we do that, rather than using the chat box, you could just unmute and even share. But again, since we are recording, if you're okay with that, please do so. Otherwise, you can still use the chat box. So just also it'll be lovely to hear from you on the on the chat box to see where you're joining us from and how are you doing so far. It would be lovely. Oh, hello, Richard. Nice to have you on camera. Welcome.
Hi guys, I'm joining you from Cardiff.
Cardiff, brilliant. Yeah, please feel free to use the chat box or unmute yourself and just tell us from where are you joining. Okay, I can see. Okay, I can't type into the rest of you, but okay, brilliant. Let's get started. Hi, yes, go on. I can't figure out your name here. Go on.
It's Di Gregory. I'm in Somerset.
Sorry, your name, did you say? Gregory.
Di Gregory. Or
Di
Diana.
Gregory. Brilliant. Lovely to have you, Di Gregory. Oh, Katrina is here with us. Lovely to have you. Lucy Davis. Brilliant. Lovely to have you as well. And the rest of you, thank you for joining and taking this time to join us and to learn something very, very important, especially for our BA community. So bridging the gap, how business analysts can fortify cybersecurity efforts. So we will be addressing this particular topic in 3 different stages. The very first, we will look at the terms itself, what cybersecurity and business analysis mean to us. And then we will look at some real-life security incidents to actually recognize how and where BAs can provide that additional support with our skills and techniques and tools to provide us another layer of defense. And finally, we will look at the shift that is required for business analysts to support the cybersecurity and the IT teams. Okay, so the audience question is coming up. What does cybersecurity mean to you? So if you can just type into the chat box, that would be good. Or if you feel like sharing, please unmute yourself and just, share what does cybersecurity mean to you?
The company that I work for has a program for cybersecurity champions, of which I am one. They're taken from all over the organization, from the business side, from the IT side, and also, included in that are the BAs. So it's something that there's a lot of focus on in my organization in terms of identifying cybersecurity threats and translating that into a way that other people within the business can understand, so that they can look out for things, for triggers, for phishing attempts and things of that nature, and take action as a result.
Brilliant.
To keep us and our data safe.
Of course, absolutely. Yes. So one of the champions. Yeah, great to have you. And I'm assuming you're also a BA, Ty Gregory, isn't it?
I am, yes.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you for sharing that. So I can't see any other chat messages. Adriana, have you received anything, or we haven't? You're on mute.
I'm muting myself now. Yes, we have comments, colleagues, put, for example, ensuring digital solutions we build are hack-proof as best as possible, building in security from design stage, following lead. Let me just lead from architect. And I just put a comment from myself that not exactly what it means, but it used to press the panic button in me for some reason before I learned about it. That's how I used to feel.
Fantastic. Thank you. For some reason, I can't see the chat messages, but that's fine. Thank you for sharing those. Okay, yes, absolutely. As we see that all of us have our own understanding, because we come from our own perspective about what cybersecurity is. So similarly, when we ask somebody from the compliance team, they might tell us that, oh, it's all about following the cybersecurity laws, for example, privacy. Or somebody in the IT team might say, oh, it's securing our networks and our firewalls and our data. And a system architect, again, might say it's about protecting our systems and data very specifically. And the business teams might say in the likes of, it's the technical side of things that is done to protect our IT systems and information assets. However, as BAs, we can recognize that cybersecurity is not just a set of technical measures or regulatory checkboxes. It is a critical part of protecting the organization assets, reputation, and very much so the trust that our customers and stakeholders have. So therefore, security must be woven into every function, process, operation, and activities that we do in our organizations. And of course, we are going to just see how BAs can support in this initiative. Okay. So again, I'm going to just give a couple of minutes for you to read this stats. It is not telling that cybersecurity is important. Yes, we all know that, and that's exactly why you have taken this time to actually come and understand and learn about it. So it's just not a nice to know trivia about cybersecurity, but an essential part for understanding what really at stake is. So when we actually see things and numbers in black and white, it makes us easier to see how big these risks are and why they do matter. And also it helps us from, making something, the cybersecurity, very abstract thing to something very real and a pressing issue that deserves everyone's attention. And for example, as you can see, the ransom attack in 2021 occurred every 11 seconds. And that was a kind of an overwhelming information. Oh, every 11 seconds. However, now the latest trend says that it is expected to rise every 2 seconds by 2031. So the moment when you actually read it, that realization of, okay, it is getting even more crucial, and also realizing how big this particular issue is and what the impacts could be, makes it more real. And especially for decision makers, when they are seeing that the projected cyber crime cost can reach up to 10.5 trillion annually by 2025, which we are not far off, emphasizes the high stakes involved. And again, no individual or organization is immune. As they say, it is no more if a cybersecurity incident happens, it is when it happens. So it's all about understanding the crucial details of it. And also it really helps the decision makers to see what is that particular, because there are so many threats and vulnerabilities out there. So what is that's very important for our own domain or our own organization also becomes very clear. So these stats not only highlight what the latest threats and vulnerabilities are, but it also often reveals the financial, reputational, and the operational impact that these breaches may cause. So when actually seeing these numbers in black and white helps those stakeholders that it is just not a technical concern, but a business imperative. And that is why this slide, although it just talks about statistics, becomes very, very important. Because only when we understand why something is important, then we start looking at, okay, this is important, so we can take some action. The what, how, who will easily be figured out. Okay, so moving on, now let's look at the two perspectives. So what does cybersecurity mean to us is something, as I said at the first part of it, we'll understand the terms itself. So we have the next audience question here. What is your most precious possession or item that you have? And why is it the most precious thing? Again, you can unmute or type it into the chat. So Adriana, if you can just call out from the chat, please.
Just moving here. Photos of my family, personal information, sentimental value, and priceless. And something I put is that ultimately my life is the most precious thing I have, followed by my health. So these are the information we have. Photos, personal information, sentimental value, and priceless. Wedding ring, engagement, eternity rings, because of the emotional attachment to my husband from Dai.
Absolutely. As we can see here, not everyone's precious item is the same. And the reason for that is also different because that's something very personal to us. And you know that it is so precious because it is so valuable, whether it could be physically, financially, emotionally, as some of you have said, or it could be for any other reasons. So it is, you understand that it is so precious because there is a value attached to it. And you also recognize that if something is of really valuable, it becomes precious and there's huge risk of losing it or getting damaged to it. So once to understand security, it is very important to understand the difference between the value of this particular item and the cost of that. So here, because the risk is too big, because it's very personal to you, it is something that's been in your family, or that's your wedding ring, or your personal information, or your photos, because there is a value to it, there is also a cost to that. And again, a risk as well. So like your precious item, you can only protect something. I think, again, the second part of the question was, why is it so precious thing? Because of the sentimental value. I was thinking there was a third question, but I don't think so. Yeah. So making this, sorry. So only when you understand that why this particular item is so precious to you and what the damage can happen. So it's a wedding ring, so you don't want to lose it, or it's a photo, so you don't want to lose it or any damage to happen, because that is very, very memorable and precious, and you might not get that another copy if you don't have a copy. So again, once you understand the value of it and the damage that it can create, then you will have some solutions, or you will be able to design the solutions to avoid or mitigate this damage. So the very definition of security from the NIST is the state of being free from danger or threat. So a thing can be in danger or have a threat only if the value is of a great worth and to someone at any given point. So if you just put this into an equation, as you can see here, security is equal to the protection that is provided for a valuable possession against all its threats. So if you secure just one part of it, it may still not be secured. So only when all its threats are secured, only then we can call it as secured. So that means from this equation, we can highlight three different factors. The first point is to realize the value of it. Something, why is it so important, is realizing that value and identifying the potential dangers to it. What are the risks? What are the dangers that it can damage this particular value? And then designing the suitable solution or the protection controls to it. So an action can be taken to protect something of value only when we understand the value of it and its risks. So even within our organizations too, although we all deal with data, we need to understand what is the most precious part of that data. That is, again, depending on the business, the domain, the other, and various other parameters. And understanding why it is so important to us and what is the damage that can happen if this particular data is being compromised. So for example, in a healthcare domain, the information about the customer's health data becomes very, very crucial. Whereas in a financial organization, the finance information or the financial transactions becomes very, very crucial. So understanding that particular value is the basis for anything that you can secure. So this is about the security. Now, the second part of it, because we are looking at both the integration of security and business analysis. So what does business analysis mean to you? Again, either you can type in or unmute and share. And Adriana, if you could please call out as we have the responses, please.
Okay, I'm keeping an eye.
Thank you.
In just a previous message that we had received, as precious things to us, it was also mentioned the bank accounts, because it can be a lot of pain if we have them breached. But yeah, so far we haven't received yet any messages about business analysis. Anyone would like to speak? If I had to say, for example, to me, business analysis it's that very hands-on support in the capacity and the proportion required to help the organization move from A to B in order to meet the business needs, which might be to meet a standard, to meet a requirement, or to deliver what the customer expects or needs. That's what I would say. Anyone else feel free to contribute?
I think there's an element as well of being able to translate what our stakeholders need from a system, for example, to ensure that our technical teams who are doing the development work can understand what it is that the users require, and therefore we can design solutions that will meet their needs. And I think that's the critical part that a business analyst will play in that development life cycle.
Yes, thank you.
And Lucy, she's added to the chat the BABOK definition. According to the IIBA, business analysis is the practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining needs and recommending solutions that deliver value to stakeholders. So yeah, thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Dai.
Thank you, Lucy, for that definition. So again, the focus I wanted to bring with this particular discussion, or trying to answer this question, is the value. So as BAs, we play a very important role in helping organizations co-create value. So that, again, when I say co-create value, it could be, as Diana was sharing about, how with the technical teams we work and we try to bring in what actually the end stakeholder needs, or as Adriana, you were sharing, that facilitating that change so that the value can be implemented. So at the end of our deliverable, it's the value that we are all, the organization as a team, we are co-creating. And that could be improving processes, or it could be enhancing customer experiences. And again, as just a technical enhancement or a process or operational enhancements, or it could be just driving innovation, because today technology drives all our work. So now here is the very critical question. Who is responsible for protecting the value that we are co-creating? As a team, we co-create, but who is responsible for the securing of that particular value that we are co-creating? Should it be just the responsibility of a single team, like a cybersecurity or the IT teams, or it should be a shared commitment across the organization?
We have a response from Lucy, the delivery team and the organization. I added that everyone involved is responsible for protecting the value of that they deliver.
Yeah, absolutely. Spot on, because since we all contribute to creating that value, it is essential that we all play a role in securing it, again, from our own perspective. And protecting that value shouldn't be just left for the one or two teams, cybersecurity or the IT teams. And BAs in particularly are uniquely positioned to bridge this technical and the business perspectives. So by embedding cybersecurity considerations onto our projects from the get-go, we can help ensure protective measures are integrated at every stage of the development lifecycle. So as BAs, when we are working from the inception, we talk about what is that value, why is it important. So from that stage, if we start including those conversations with the security team as well, then we can start weaving those security considerations throughout. Because today, as we see and hear about the incidents, and if you look into the details, normally security is an afterthought or somebody thinks about it. And I think, again, in my own experience also, I have seen and I've heard many people say this as well. They don't want to involve security team in the beginning. They say, you know what, they delay things. They will have lot many things. So let's do our initial discussions and then we will involve them. But we all have understood that anything to change once we are in a different stage always is difficult and more expensive as well. So, and again, as analysts, we bring forth in our analysis the organization's strengths and weaknesses. We identify the opportunities and the threats, the benefits, the constraints, and we also assess the impacts, both positive impact and the negative impact of the value that we are creating, and also the short-term and the long-term benefits. So when we do all of these things, the very important question again is, why do we not include security as part of our analysis? And now, if we don't include, just think, will our analysis be complete? Because there is an undocumented trust between a business analyst and their clients to deliver a complete analysis so that they make an informed decisions. Because we bring in our analysis and we prepare the business case, or we support preparing the business case as a team and say, okay, these are the benefits, this is what, and we recommend a particular solution. So, and somebody is trusting that we have done all that work efficiently and correctly and completely, and they make decisions based on that. So, which means business analysis is actually a responsibility more than anything, which means in giving them a holistic view will become very, very important. Of course, today as BAs, we might not be fully equipped to talk about all the cybersecurity aspects, but that's exactly what we are trying to do. And we will also look at the next part, why and how the shift can be made so that we can include this cybersecurity aspects holistically within our analysis. So moving on to the next part is the case study. So here we will see a few case studies, which again, across the last 2 decades, to give you a flavor of how these incidents are actually manifesting even today, or how these risks are actually manifesting even today, and how BAs can play a role to become the additional layer of defense. So the very first case study we will look at is again a UK case study, which reportedly took place in 2007, which in the HMRC, which is HMRC is the UK's government department. So one of the departments, which is the child benefit department. So all the data, which is most probably the UK population, all the data about the child who was getting the benefit and the parents who were paid, their personal details, their bank details, the child who was getting the benefit, their personal information, everything, all of this data was copied onto a CD, and which was posted through an untracked mail to the National Audit Office. And again, there are different versions of this particular incident. Some say the CD was delivered, some say the CD was lost in transit. So the point again here is this particular incident really, really opened the eyes of many organizations, because this happened in 2007, where one of the prestigious government organization, where they didn't understand the importance of the activity that they were actually undertaking. So of course, yes, today we don't do that, but those were the days how data was actually kind of transmitted. So the reasons for, now looking at these, the reasons for failure for this particular incident is, one of the key reasons is they didn't segregate the personal or the sensitive data or key identifiable data. And again, the second reason is they didn't encrypt the data. It wasn't kind of secured in any way. It was just copied raw data onto the CD. And also it's a reason for failure is to transmit the data through a secured network line. And it was just posted. And failure to implement a clear process for the employees handling such requests. So now as a BA, okay, if you were to analyze this particular incident, what are the steps that you would take to mitigate this risk? So take a moment, and again, in the chat box, you can type in or unmute yourself and share. What would you kind of do to avoid this? Or what would be your recommendation as a BA?
I think first you need to identify the data elements that are considered to be, that key identifiable data. And then I think you need business process that ensures that all the staff understand the value of the data and how they should treat the data. Now, you can have different levels of data. So, what data has to be the highest level of security, what data elements perhaps don't need to be quite such a high level of security. And you can combine that with business process and system upgrades to make sure that the data is kept protected.
Absolutely. Spot on, Diana. Thank you. Any other responses, Adriana?
Lucy said, consider the data elements, inputs, moving data, storing data, outputs.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So as BAs, we can straight away see how we are able to help this particular incident here. So moving on to another incident, which happened after a decade, which was in 2017. So this particular incident is relating to internet network provider, which is called TalkTalk. So TalkTalk acquired another company called Tiscali, and as part of this acquisition, Tiscali's systems, data, processes, the customers, everything were onboarded to TalkTalk's database. So during this process, there were some vulnerabilities in the Tiscali system, and which was straight away onboarded onto TalkTalk's database. So without fixing those vulnerabilities, the system went live. So TalkTalk's database was compromised multiple times, not just once. And customers' personal data, financial data were all compromised. And in fact, as per the reports, TalkTalk didn't even realize that, the data was compromised until they received an email for the ransom. So even though their operational reports, it was showing that a lot of data was kind of being downloaded or it was being tampered, none of them actually looked into that, or they even realized this was happening until this email was received. So as a result, TalkTalk incurred damages up to £40 million. And they lost almost 101,000 customers, and the Information Commission Office imposed them a £400,000 in fine. And the most shocking fact in these reports were the Metropolitan Police confirmed arresting 5 people within the age range of 15 to 20 in connection with this breach. So, which means it didn't take anybody, an experienced technical person to kind of even get access to this data or, use those vulnerabilities to get into the systems. So looking at the reasons of failure, once again here is to remove or make the Tiscali's, the vulnerable pages secure, so which wasn't done. Failure to update the outdated software, for which a fix was made available 3.5 years before the attack, which is a very, very common, patch updates is what was missed. And failure to undertake proactive monitoring activities to discover the vulnerabilities. So it was happening and they didn't proactively monitor it. and failure to implement a defense that was for a very, very common type of attack. So same question again, as in previous case, as BAs now, take a moment to analyze this incident and share with us what we could have done to avoid this situation.
In a sense, it feels quite, is that fair to say? It's quite embarrassing because it's quite obvious what should have been done, what could have been done to prevent this failures. And we just reverse engineer the failures, and we know what should have been done to prevent it. Yeah, it's different aspects involved as well. It's not just one single answer that would have made security proof the solution or the product they were saying.
Yeah. And as BAs, we can definitely recognize where all we can contribute, whether it is, putting a process for the patch updates, or even as part of the onboarding as well, understanding or writing those requirements to actually identifying those vulnerabilities through risk analysis. And also even processes for monitoring the activities as well. So these are, again, though these two incidents, if you take, there's a decade between these two, but still the security mindset was still the same. We didn't actually look at what were the things that we could have avoided, because security was something, okay, we do this, we tick these boxes, we onboarded, there is a system for this, there is a system for that. But again, are they really, really secure? So that is what we talk about, the security mindset, which we will also look in a minute. So like these two organizations, most organizations have, all the security tick boxes ticked. They have security frameworks implemented, accredited to one or the other security standards. And they also will have a legal and regulatory teams to actually look into all the compliance requirements. Yet, in spite of all of these, they have become the victim of cybersecurity. So again, this happened in 2017. Now, fast forward 2023, there was another incident with T-Mobile data breach. So T-Mobile reportedly again had a regulatory filing in November 2022 saying that the attackers stole data like names, addresses, emails, phone numbers from the T-Mobile customers, and along with all more other account information as well. However, given that T-Mobile's history of recurring data breaches, I think since 2018, they are having recurring data breaches, the security analysts have also raised concerns that the FCC, Federal Communications Commission, has launched an investigation over the company's cybersecurity investments and their API protections. So looking at, again, the reasons for failure here as well is failure to implement adequate security measures such as access control or input validation for their APIs, and failure to include real-time monitoring. As we can see, 2017, the same problem, 2023 is the same problem. Proactive monitoring is still not being followed. Again, failure to invest in and implement cybersecurity enhancements, resulting in persistent vulnerabilities. So since 2018, T-Mobile has gone through the same kind of breaches. Another incident, 2024, very latest, from Microsoft. So Microsoft cyber attacked in January 2024, in which Microsoft's email were hacked. Again, exposing sensitive information of the senior leadership team or the people who were holding high positions. And Microsoft also reported that the attackers tried to again come back, I think in February, targeting the passwords and the stolen data. But however, Microsoft took immediate actions to prevent the risk. So if you look at the reasons again for the failure, is failure to update the non-production accounts, resulting in this weak access points. So although Microsoft tries to focus more on the active, so these were non-production accounts, and that also became, it's like, you really have the latest technology for your main door, but you have left your back door open. So something like that. Failure to predict the tactics of a highly sophisticated state-sponsored actors. So as we understand this particular game, cybersecurity is like a chasing game. So both of them will try to, outperform the other one. So organizations like Microsoft always have to kind of be ahead in the game. And at least that is how, because the value of data that they really hold, based on that, they have to do that. So that's again another reason for failure. And finally, failure to patch legacy accounts or outdated systems. So patch is something it is constantly repeating again and again. So now, if you look all of these incidents, the common factors that really stand out is the exploitation of vulnerabilities, whether in the production accounts, non-production accounts, or any other systems. So in each incident involved attackers finding a gap or a vulnerability within their systems or old accounts or some weak endpoints that allowed them unauthorized access into the organization. And in each case, the attackers took advantage of those areas that were lacking security controls. So from these above incidents, we can see that underlying, the reason is something was actually overlooked, or a risk was mismanaged, or a risk wasn't identified, or it wasn't prioritized as it should be. So again, all leading to the same root cause, that is lack of awareness, which we call it as a security mindset, not having a security mindset. And when you look at the research, every time the human error is on the top, because they say humans are the weakest link. Why? It's only because they didn't have the security mindset, which is the most important aspect. Okay, now the final part of it, how can we BAs support, and what is the shift that is required? So one thing we have to really understand here, that business analyst is at the one end of the spectrum and cybersecurity analyst is on the other end of the spectrum. So we are not going to become cybersecurity analysts. So cybersecurity analysts are the SMEs of cybersecurity. So they are involved much into the technical aspect. Like a developer who is much, focused only on developing the system. So cybersecurity analysts are focused primarily on the cybersecurity aspects, very technical in nature, where they will look at each and the details of every system, every data, the security of that bit, or the solutionizing of that bit. Whereas as a BA, we will still remain as business analysts, but we will have to understand just enough knowledge so that we will be able to collaborate with the cybersecurity and their IT teams. And that is the shift that is required. So we don't become a cybersecurity analyst, but we will still remain as a business analyst, but with an expertise or with an knowledge of cybersecurity, so that we can perform holistic analysis and deliver a complete analysis. So that is the shift that is required. So to perform this shift, we need to understand the knowledge, cybersecurity knowledge areas, which are these listed here. So as you can see, we will still remain our core, BA knowledge is very much required. We still utilize all our skills, our techniques, our tools to perform the analysis that what we do, but we will understand, or we will need to acquire this additional cybersecurity knowledge so that we are able to perform a holistic analysis. And of course, these people outside will still remain because they are all the subject matter experts. And as and when our project dictates that, okay, there is a cybersecurity requirement, and then we go to them to get additional information. So for example, like we all work on different projects. So sometimes we will work on a different domain where it is a completely new domain for us, but we will still bring in our BA core skills so that we can perform the analysis. And as and when we need more information about or the in-depth knowledge about a particular domain, then we go to those SMEs. So similarly, cybersecurity SMEs are these where we will still go to them and we will not become cybersecurity experts. And as you can see here, this is a very, very huge area. So we cannot be an SMEs of all of these. So as and when our project needs, we reach out to them, but we need to have enough knowledge so that we recognize and we do our analysis and then reach out when we require. So these are the different areas, which is again coming from the information security management. So how can these particular knowledge areas align to our business analysis knowledge areas, as we call from IIBA, or the kind of work that we do? And to fill in that particular gap, I have included or I have created a cybersecurity business analysis and cybersecurity framework, which is the framework that I have developed and created a book as well on this particular framework. So as you can see here, as business analysis, we are performing our day-to-day activities. We will include or we will integrate cybersecurity as well, where business analysis and security mindset will become the foundation for the entire creation. So without the BA mindset, we cannot be, the good BAs or the better BAs we want to be. So similarly, security mindset, as we saw, we will just tick the box, but we don't really see what is that we are trying to secure here. So that is the foundation. So without the BA and the security mindset, none of these things above will work. So making this particular foundation for the framework. And also these elements in the framework, as you can see, they are all kind of very versatile. You can either use just one of those components for the individual need, whether it could be for a product or an organization, or collectively, we can use all of these components within the framework to build at an organization level or a product level to build secure systems. So again, as you can see, the two pillars of this framework are the business analysis and risk assessment, which again are very, very crucial, because anything we call it as secure, that means all its risks are managed. So making these two components as the pillars, so it combines the insights. As a BA, we have that knowledge, and also the cybersecurity knowledge additional that we acquire. With that, we can determine that the particular aspect or this control that we are developing is actually securing, and it's just not assumed to be safe or just a tick box. Data security, another very important component that helps us to focus on the data security aspect, whether the data is stored or data is transferred or data is actively used. So again, these measures throughout, especially when from a BA perspective, we try to work on process management and incorporating this data security as part of it. I think that's again, Diane was mentioning earlier. So we can ensure that data is secured at every stage, irrespective of what the data state it is in. And people management, a very, very crucial aspect. So understanding how people behave helps organizations to create better security strategies. It could be as simple as how do we react or to external threats, how educated our employees are, and what we can support them, or how crucial our data is, or what are the kind of actors or threat actors that might be impacted, again, based on the organization and domain, and we can create those security controls accordingly. BAs, again, with our process management, we can support in implementing and creating the business continuity and incident management plans as well. And the framework also provides guidance on incorporating security considerations into business case to enable decision makers to recognize the value of the cybersecurity investments, because it's just not a cost. This cybersecurity is actually an investment. So that is something we can also help the decision makers to see it in that perspective. Finally, like the foundational mindset, ethics becomes the overarching component, which again serves as a very guiding principles throughout the framework. So by including the ethical considerations, the framework not only focuses on security measures, but also trusts or builds trust among everyone involved. So this is the framework, which I again talk about it in detail, dedicating a chapter for every stage of the framework in the book. So basically, to conclude, what I would like to share is business analysis and cybersecurity, they go beyond the titles. They are actually responsibilities. And because security is just not a one-time effort, it's an ongoing journey. So our businesses and technical landscape, especially in today's world, is evolving at a very, very fast pace, which means every time there's a new risk and challenges that pops up. And this framework really offers a roadmap for BAs to navigate this continuous journey, evolving the processes effectively and contributing to the organization's overall security posture. So I'm also included skills gap in cybersecurity professionals, just to highlight that as BAs, how we can support the teams, because there's always a huge gap and organizations are struggling to fill in those roles. So definitely whatever as BAs we can help is very much needed for these teams and for the overall securing the organization's posture as well. And for BA specifically, upskilling, again, with this new knowledge can enhance their credibility and influence. We know that we have to adapt to this which we have been doing, because I've been in this industry in this profession for nearly more than 2 decades now. So every time there's a constant adaptability. So as BAs, when we take on this responsibility of not only co-creating the value, but also contributing to safeguarding that value, we can position ourselves as key stakeholders here, showing leadership and also a greater influence in making those strategic discussions and decisions. Yes, because we definitely understand the interplay between value creation and value protection. So yeah, that is again another final message here. So if you would like to adapt to this new growing skill, so this is something you could consider. And again, there are many forums where you can really understand by just going through so many magazines and so many websites which talk about a lot of cybersecurity aspects and data security aspects. But at the same time, what I have done, because I've spent almost, I think, 6 to 7 years working on this space, and I have created a digital space called cybersecurity for businessanalysts.com, where you can get a lot of resources. There are free resources from articles, webinars, podcasts are coming, and also to trainings as well. So which you can actually see tailor-made training courses specifically for business analysts. And you can reach out there, and if there's any information that is valuable, please feel free to use it. And if you have any other questions or if you want to discuss further, I'm always available on LinkedIn. And we do have time. Okay, we're almost at the end of it. So if you have any questions or anything, I'm happy to take. Oh, I can see a comment from Adriana. Richard Nums, BAs can achieve useful cyber knowledge by developing and maintaining conversations with cybersecurity experts to keep up to date with methods of approach, threats, process, procedures. Absolutely. Yes. Thank you for sharing that, Richard. This is exactly I was talking about on the last slide, where there's a lot of skills gap, and having that conversation and involving them much, in the beginning of the process from the get-go, it really helps the team and also the organization, and also a good rapport that we are proactively involving them. One of the key stakeholders is something very important. Thank you for sharing it. So
I was thinking also that your slide about the numbers of people required in the industry, the shortage, perhaps reflects your excuse me, sorry, my printer started working in the background. My wife's printing something. The older examples probably reflect the fact that senior management weren't paying full attention to cybersecurity.
Yeah.
Clearly, as you've highlighted, the adverse press and the governmental fines placed on people and the loss of customers has increased that in the forefront of senior management, and that's why we're seeing such a need for people on the front line nowadays.
Absolutely. And yes, they are there to, provide those solutions. But I think as an additional layer, if we can start including this as part of our functional requirements, just not as an NFRs, and, start putting it into that pipeline, we can really support to a greater extent, because security is never 100%. So it's all about, identifying those risks as much as, proactively upfront, and being prepared as much as we can. That's something we can do as an organization. And that is where, as PAs, we have a huge role. It's a responsibility. Any other questions, comments, anything at all? Okay. Lucy says, I remember somewhat reading build in, not bolt on, probably on IIBA website. Maybe. Yes. Thank you for sharing that, Lucy.
Well, from my side, what I would like to share is, for example, when I read your book, I read from a place of I had never read a specific dedicated book to cybersecurity, and I thought it was, I found it a very good reading, quite pleasant, in spite of the topic, let's put it this way, because we would expect a harsh and difficult reading. The way you explained the elements involved and everything involved in the framework you propose, aligning with the business analysis skills and or the same framework, it makes it very easy for us to pick up where we should be switching the cybersecurity mindset alongside the business analysis mindset. So I found it was very helpful, and it's definitely a reading I would recommend, because I found it extremely useful to bring to life what exactly we need to do or start thinking in terms of cybersecurity, because sometimes the way things are communicated or how they go on the media or on the press, it can become quite overwhelming just to think about, that amount of information I need to start catching up with, or the amount of knowledge I need to learn. It can be very overwhelming. And I thought you were very fortunate in a way, and we are very lucky to have access to this information on a bite-sized approach that we are able to take without making sense. And I thought that we can apply immediately, and it doesn't require us it doesn't cause overwhelm, let's put it this way. So thank you very much for making this resource available. And I would definitely recommend. I have the book. Probably it will be not very clear, but yes, it's the cybersecurity and business analysis. It's if you would like to get a view and immediate applicable insights, it's a very good way to start. Thank you, Bindu.
Thank you for sharing that, Adriana. Now that you actually showed the book, if anybody is interested, please go through my website, because there you will get author discount if you're interested to buy. I'm not telling you to buy. I would love if you could, but as I said, that's an option where you can get the author discount. Whereas if you go directly to Amazon or BCS, you will not be able to get that discount. And yes, I think that's something which I even heard, because I was recording a podcast this afternoon, and the guest was actually highlighting the same point, because cybersecurity and business analysis both are very dry subjects and very theoretical oriented subjects. And the positive thing that they took away from the book was how these concepts came into life. And that's again something I repeatedly hear as well on my trainings, where we do a lot of hands-on training, and it really gives them not only a perspective on the cybersecurity aspects, but maybe with the security mindset itself, how they can implement that in their own life as well, and how their perspective really changed. And the analogies and the stories really gives them the concept to life. So that was something really good to hear. And then those podcasts as well, I will be sharing in bite-sized, where the reason for that podcast is actually understand how people have implemented it, the cybersecurity knowledge into their work, day-to-day work. And that's the point I'm trying to kind of get in those conversations. So hopefully in the new year, there will be some bite-sized information as well shared through the podcast recordings.
Thank you so much, Bindu. And we're 4 minutes past our finish time. Is that okay for us to finish now? Or does anyone have a final word, something you really want us to share with the group before we do that? If we haven't, what I would say is just to thank everyone for being here tonight, joining us. Thank you, Bindu, for being available to speak with us. We had some people saying that due to difference in the time zones, they wouldn't be able to join, but the recording will be available in the upcoming days. It will be available on the same event page you access on the IIBA website. So please bear with us. In a few days, it will be available there. And we thank you, Dai, for your compliments, the verbal claps. And what I would encourage you is to please keep an eye on the IIBA website, on our events. We have more sessions coming in. Next week, there will be the first session of a book club, where we will have a discussion with the author, Kitty Hung. She'll be talking about business analysis in the time of generative AI. So feel free to visit our website and continue to be in touch with us. We can only thank you for being here tonight, and I wish you a very good evening.
Thank you, Adriana, for inviting, and thank you everyone for joining, and thank you for your interactive contributions as well. Much appreciated. Thank you so much. Have a lovely rest of the day, evening, wherever you are, whatever the time it is, and speak soon. Bye-bye.
I will stop the recording now.